So yeah, before the next talk starts, I need a doctor. Do you know if there's a doctor in the room? I need a doctor, please. Doctor?
Did anyone say doctor?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
You know,
How can I
I
help
have
you?
a problem. I have a big problem. You know,
Yeah.
I need somebody to help me. You know, I'm writing a system. I'm using TDD, and everything crashes. Nothing works.
But how can that be possible? You said you're using TDD.
Well,
What
yes,
do you
of
do?
course. I write all the code, and then I write the test, and you know,
But
and run the yeah.
you meant you write the test first and then you write the
No,
code,
no,
right?
no, no. I write the code, then I write the test, and sometimes I write 20 tests, you
But
know, and then try to make them pass.
calm
And
down, calm down. It's okay.
okay,
I know how you feel. We've all been there.
okay. Can you help me?
Yeah. So
Okay.
here's what
That's
we're
good.
gonna do. Take a
Okay.
deep breath.
Okay.
Okay. First thing we're gonna do is you have to make the test pass. All right?
What? What?
The test. You have to pass the test first. Calm down, get the situation under control.
Okay.
And I'm going to
Yeah. Do you have some prescription
I'm
or
going to
something?
prescribe you something.
Okay.
I guess this app will be good for you.
Which one?
This app.
Oh, which one? What's the
Yeah,
name?
that one.
Oh, Dr. TDD. Okay.
Yeah. And I guess it would be good for you to stay on for the next talk.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah?
Thank you very much.
All
I'll
right.
do it. Thank you.
Always remember red, green, and refactor. All right? All right. Hi. Red, green, and refactor. Yeah, I'm on it. How many times you heard that phrase before? Mirror, here we go. Gonna keep the changes. Good. All right. All right. Red, green, and refactor, we heard these 3 steps for a long time now, and I believe that for way too many time, that it almost lose the meaning, right? This is the TDD cycle. Red, first step, write a single failing test. Green, you make it pass. Ken Beck says just commit whatever sins you need to commit to get the test passing. Refactor, which is a very important step, we have to reflect on what we've done, and then if it makes sense, of course, we improve the design of our system, all right? 3 simple steps, very easy to learn, but yet the technique is very hard to apply, right? Why? Because it requires a strong cultural change in the way we understand what is software development and in the way we develop software, right? Of course, it takes time, but once you get it right, you get the benefits of TDD, which is, in my opinion, you get to grow systems. I like to say grow and not build, iteratively and incrementally, 1 test at a time with immediate feedback. So what does it mean? Because TDD is not TDD without immediate feedback, right? It means that at any time, we know the changes we're making to the system, preserve the existing behavior, and if they don't, well, we get to know exactly which parts of the system we broke, and we get to fix them. All right? And speaking about immediate feedback or immediate response, this goes back a long way. I started thinking, how do we learn TDD? Okay, the way I used to learn this at the university was we were gave an assignment, we worked for probably 2 hours on it, and once we finished it, the teacher gave some advice or how the exercise should have been solved, and we will all express our opinions, our feelings, and the problems we stumble upon when trying to resolve the exercise with TDD. And if you think about that, that's funny because TDD is a technique, right? And like any other technique, you cannot see the final snapshot. In this case, the final snapshot is the solution to the exercise. You need to see the whole movement to know if you're making it right, if you're performing right or not. So it's funny because if you think about it, we are learning TDD in a non-TDD way, right? We have to wait 2 hours until we solve the exercise. Someone comes and check what we did, but they're checking the solution. They cannot check the process because that already happens. What would be the ideal solution? 1 teacher per student, right? You get them to pair, and that way you get immediate feedback about how well you're performing the technique, and if you're making some mistakes along the way, well, you get to fix them right away. Unfortunately, that's not possible. There's not usually enough teachers for each student. So what we're gonna see today is a way of solving that, trying to model the teacher with a tool, all right? So what's the idea? Everyone asked me, hey, what are you going to do in Germany? What is your thesis about? What are you going to present? Not my nerd friends, of course, but my regular friends, family. And I came up with this explanation. You remember that little guy, this Clippy? Used to be Microsoft Word's assistant, I guess back in 97 or something. Well, Dr. TDD is like Clippy. He's not going to say, hey, do you want to write a letter? I'm going to help you. But you can imagine it's like Clippy, but for Pharo, okay? And of course, we don't have a document. We have a system browser, which is where we work on. And for those who know, I learned TDD from Hernan Wilkinson. Who knows Hernan here? Whoa. Nice. Nice numbers. So yeah, we decided we want something like Clippy. We decided to call it Will Clippy in honor to Hernan Wilkinson, but we're not doing that. Finally we decided to zip this guy and convert it into a Nautilus plugin. So that's the basic explanation. You're welcome. For Dr. TDD, and it's a doctor. And what's the idea? It will monitor everything you do, and it will tell you if you're doing TDD correctly, and if not, which actions you should take to get back to the TDD cycle. Because the TDD cycle, you have to follow it step by step and in that order, of course. So what is the basic UI? You have a thermometer, which measures the fever. When it's low, you're doing TDD. Everything's fine. When the fever goes all the way up, you're not doing TDD. And of course, in between, it means it's more or less severe the error you had. Then we have the package we're working on and the diagnostic for that package. In the image, the example is all tests are passing. Of course, if there are no tests, all tests are passing. And you always get a recommendation which is related to the diagnostic that tells you which action you should take next to keep doing TDD correctly. Because those actions are very manual, and I feel there's a lot of friction, like you always have to create a new class, a new method, run the test. You can apply the recommendation automatically with just a click. All right? Let's see a demo. Okay, how does it look? Thank you. You're talking about the plugin or me? Is it good? Cool. All right. So this is the UI, no more nor less. We didn't want any model windows or pop-ups or anything like that. First step is selecting a package, and as soon as you do it, you see that it is not started, and of course the recommendation is to start it. We want you to use it, right? So once you do, step 1, write a failing test. You can only do it when all tests are passing, so that's why this is the recommendation we get. We're not going to create the class and the test manually. we're gonna apply recommendation, and if you don't care about the names, as I do at first, we generate them for you, all right? And we are ready to type. Notice that the focus is on the editor, right? Let's implement a simple stack. We're gonna test that it is empty when it is created. My stack, Microsoft style. Okay. Notice that the diagnostic change. We are in a new test written, which is one of the first things we have to do to go to step 2. Recommendation is run the test, and if you notice, the fever went up. You might wonder why, because we are doing TDD correctly. Well, that's right, but we have more chances for messing up. Why? There's only one thing we should do here, and it's run the test. Anything else we do, say creating another test, that's technically not doing TDD. So that's the indicator. Basically, the more the fever goes up, the more you should pay attention to the recommendation, okay? The recommendation here is run the test, so I'm gonna run them with the apply recommendation button. We go to the debugger right away, and of course, we have to implement is empty. Simplest thing you can do to make it pass, okay? And again, we're back to all tests are passing, green step. The recommendation again is to create a failing test, and the fever went down, okay? So let's imagine that we wrote another new test to keep doing TDD. Let's say we're gonna make this fail just for fun. And because this is a target to students who are being introduced to TDD, they might write another test, which is, from the TDD point of view, that's not completely right. So if you do that, you notice that the fear went up. Now the diagnostic is more than one test written, and the recommendation is just keep only one, right? We are being we're being forgiving here. Technically, this is not doing TDD, but you have the chance to undo your mistakes. And in this case, again, if you click Apply Recommendation, you get to choose which test you want to keep. We're back on new test written, and the recommendation is to run the test, all right? So let's make this a real test. We're going to test that when we push an element to the stack, then it is not empty. Okay, run the test. Of course, push does not exist. We're gonna do the simple thing to make this test pass. Of course, it's empty fail because we just implemented it returning true. We're gonna use contents instance variable. And for now, checking for nil is just enough. Okay, what happened now? The failing test that we wrote failed, we made it pass, but check the recommendation. We're not in the green step. We are asked now to run all the tests. And this is important because it's not enough to make the test pass. We have to make sure all the tests we have are still passing. Again, if you apply a recommendation, we do that for you. We want you to, or students to be focused on the technique and not be worried about accidental stuff like, hey, I have to switch the browser to the test runner, or I should create a new test case, a new method, which name should I put, right? An interesting thing about the way the tests are run is we always run the test that is failing. When it passes, we run all the tests from that test case. If they pass, we run all the tests in the selected package, all right? Because you need to make sure that every test you have is passing. Okay, so now let's do something that is wrong. We're gonna write a new test. We wanna write another one, fever went up. And this is something interesting that we found, is that whenever we can give you the opportunity to undo what you did, we do it. But how do we know if you really meant to mess up? And we found that the action that confirms that is running the test. As long as you don't run the test, you can write 2 tests, 3, then you remove them, you're back on track. But if you run the tests, then I'm sorry, you're not doing TDD, all right? What happens here is that we cannot help you. Basically, you need to go back to the green state. So in this state, you can do whatever you want to make the test pass. That's the only thing we ask, okay? If you notice, there are different levels of the thermometer empty. 1 level, 2 level, which was the previous one. And once you commit, you make an error on the 3rd level, then the thermometer is full and you're not doing TDD. So let's make this test pass. Kids, don't do this at home. Okay. All right. Of course, something you shouldn't do also is write the production method or a model method, better said, before writing the tests. So in this case, we can detect that scenario. This is a little bit controversial because you could argue that you were refactoring and actually doing a manual refactor. That's right. For now, we cannot detect if you're really refactoring or if you're coding before tests. There are a couple of solutions here. We could ask the user, hey, what are you doing? If you're refactoring, you could go into a refactor mode when we're not gonna pick you that much. Another option will be just to wait until we get the next action to confirm your behavior. If the next action is you run the test, maybe we can infer your refactoring. If the next action is, oh yeah, I'm writing more methods, then we can infer after a period of time that you were not doing TDD, right? Here the recommendation is remove a new method, and if you apply the recommendation, we're back on a good state. Another cool thing before I tell you a couple more stuff we did is think about this. You wrote a new test, you're doing good. What would it mean if you go back to a passing test and you modify it? Technically, this counts as a new test because you no longer know if it's passing or not. So if you do that, notice that the diagnostic is not more than 1 test written. Diagnostic is passing test modified unexpectedly. Again, the recommendation is just undo what you did, and in this case, we help you. If you click on more information, you say, hey, this is what the current test looks like. This is what it should look like. So again, if you revert method, you go back to a good state, okay? Of course, there are a bunch of transitions, way too many. I'm just showing you the basic ones for you to get an idea of what we can do. So what can you do with it? Well, for me, personally, I think that the tool is interesting enough. But again, we are aiming for students. And the other side of a student is a teacher, right? So again, you don't want to teach TDD without the TDD spirit. Ideally, you want to give each one of them immediate feedback. So imagine that you are teaching a class, you assign them an exercise to solve, and you use Dr. TDD and you get the real-time data about how students are doing, right? This will be like the teacher's dashboard. So if you see that every student is doing good, you wouldn't interrupt them, you will let them finish. But if you see, let's say, the histogram and most of the students are not doing TDD step, right? or not doing TDD, you might want to do a quick checkup and correct them before waiting for the exercise is over, probably 1 hour after that. So this is twofold. First, for the students to have immediate feedback, and also for the teacher to have immediate feedback. And this way we can reflect and improve the way we teach and we do TDD. And this is something that Kenbeck says, right? One of the benefits of TDD, besides the one I mentioned, is that it gives you a process, let's call it, and it orders the way you develop software. And once you do that, you can reflect on that. You get to measure your development process, and you get to improve it, of course. Some cool things, of course, this small talk. So I developed Dr. TDD with Dr. TDD. What I had to do is to write the first test to verify that Dr. TDD could recognize the TDD cycle. When I got that working, I just implemented a very basic UI that wrote to the transcript so I could get immediate feedback on the work I was doing. And once Dr. TDD was complete enough, I replaced that transcript with the plugin, with Will Clippy, with the plugin I just showed, and everything went fine. Of course, when I write in a new test that is for a case that is not support, the test breaks and Dr. TDD running breaks also. So you have to manage that. But I can say it was a very fun and interesting experience. We're gonna skip this. So yeah, that would be it. Do you have any questions? Yeah.
Nico, question.
Yeah.
How extensible is this tool? Meaning that would it be possible that doctor learn from the feedback the developer gives him in some way? I mean, extending the states and the rules of the transitions so it can, I don't know, suggest more things.
Yeah, of course. I mean, besides the data we can use to show like the teacher's view, and you're thinking more like AI or machine learning or stuff. Yeah, I mean, one interesting thing that I thought, I don't know how to do it because I don't know machine learning, is there's probably something going on with your coding style, right? And Dr. TDD is not perfect. It has a limited set of transitions and things that can recognize, and probably some of them aren't errors. It's just the way you code. So that would be very interesting to make a profile for you and suit Dr. TDD for the way you're coding, while keeping an eye on you, right? We want to still detect the things you're doing wrong with your technique. Yeah.
Did you think about including things like code coverage and code critics?
Yeah, actually, this is the 4th iteration of Dr. TD. I've been playing with this for a long time now. Iteration 3, I had code coverage. So basically, I could do things like, oh, you remove this method, but now you have model code that is not tested anymore. So watch out. But then we decided to keep it simple, at least for the first version, and focus only on the things that were related to the technique itself. Because TDD does not talk about coverage that much. I mean, we wanted to get the basic version working for just the cycle.
Yeah, but I would argue that doing proper TDD would result in a 100% code coverage. So all new methods should be covered by tests. And when you're doing refactoring, you have to make sure that all refactored methods are actually tested. So then you can expand your tool in detecting, okay, probably you're doing your refactoring, and rerun your tests to verify all tests are green and all methods are covered.
Yeah. Well, Kent says that trying to shoot for 100% coverage is an ideal solution, and you're in a constant aim to try to hit that, okay? I would say that better than 100%, you could set probably a threshold when you're happy with, And if you didn't met that, we could tell you. Yeah.
So Dr. TDD looks like a fun tool to use, and while you were presenting it, I was imagining using it myself until the point where you mentioned that the teacher can also see what I'm doing. So and put myself into the position that I'm a student. Maybe I don't want my teacher to know that I'm doing mistakes. So have you thought about maybe ever incentivize the student to keep on going and pursue the TDD principle? You can reward the student or you can punish the student. Have you thought about that?
No, yeah, of course. As I said before, we won't use the glow on the students, right? No, I mean, the focus is not to have friction for them to learn TDD, so it's up to you if you want to use it or not. Maybe you want to use it on a test and not on regular classes, right? Or maybe you don't want to use it at all. It's up to you. Yeah. Of course, if you're going to use it, I will expect that for you to inform them about your decision, and they are free to opt out if they decide to. Yeah.
I just have a remark here. Do you detect empty test method?
Well, not yet, and that's a thing. It's
Because
very,
I think that this is a failure from, it should be fixed in S-unit or something like that. A test that has nobody should be...
exactly, without assertions, yeah.
No, you know, we could have mock test. I'm not in this war. I'm just saying that this is not even a mock test. This is an empty test that is green and said, wow. So you see, we should really get rid of those. We should kill them.
Yes, totally. As I said, I focus on the big picture, on the TDD cycle. But you are totally right. If you write a test that is empty, it is always going to pass, and it doesn't add any value. Yeah, totally. Yeah. All right. Thank you.